Hi, I'm Tom White, founder of Flextone Game Calls, and I wanted to take just a minute to give you some basics on how to use a slate or glass call, a friction type call. There's very popular calls because they're pretty easy to master, and they've accounted for a lot of turkey deaths over the years. Very popular call. I use a slate a whole bunch. I use glass a little bit. Typically, the main differences between slate and glass is that slate's typically a little bit softer sound, whereas glass will get a little bit more pop to it and a little bit more ring, maybe carry a little bit further on a windy day. Slate's typically a little bit more forgiving or easier to use. You don't have to worry about the condition of the surface quite as much as you do on a slate, but just want to talk a little bit about how to use them. I'm going to be using the Tramp Stamp slate call. It's one of my favorites in the line, and generally my go-to call because it is forgiving, it's easy to use, yet it does have a lot of pop and a lot of ring to it for a slate type call. But first thing I want to talk to you about is how to yelp on a slate call. And first of all, you need to be holding your striker correctly. And you're holding it very similar to where the way you write with a writing pen. So, you know, I've just got it between my index finger and my middle finger there, putting some pressure with my thumb. And I'm not squeezing it very hard. I'm just holding it just about firm enough to, if I was going to write a letter with it. Then you need to know how to place your hand, how to hold the slate, and then how to place your hand on the surface. I don't touch the slate surface with my off hand. I don't touch the slate surface with either hand. The pot itself I hold with my fingertips. Now if I want to muffle it a little bit, I may put a little bit of hand on it, but typically I hold it with my fingertips. I put the meaty part of my striker hand right on the edge of the pot call, just to kind of give me a pivot point. And then you place the striker straight up and down on the surface, and then I just push the head of the striker away from me just a little bit, okay? So I've got maybe a 20-degree angle there, kind of angling away from me. And then to make a yelp, I'm gonna make a small oval, and I'm gonna be dragging the striker surface across the slate surface downward in an oval shape, kind of like this. So you can see I'm just making a little oval. You can probably even see on this surface here the shape that I've been scratching there. Another thing I want you to remember when you're learning how to yelp on a slate or glass, I'm not really, if you look at my fingers, I'm not really moving my fingers much. My fingers are staying pretty much steady. I'm holding the striker steady, but my wrist is the pivot point. I'm doing this mainly with my wrist. I've seen some people trying to do it with their fingers. See, now I'm doing it with my fingers. It's just more difficult. And then I've seen some people try to move their whole arm. Very difficult. But if you'll rest the meaty part of your hand there on the edge of the call, and then use your wrist as a pivot point and make a small oval, I think you'll master the yelp pretty quick. So again, put it straight up and down, angle it away from you a little bit, and then make a small oval. Kind of you're pushing the striker in the direction that it's pointing. Okay, it's up, then you point it away, now then it's pointing this way, so you're going to drag it down. And I never take the striker off of the surface of the slate. I've seen some people wanting to pick it up. They'll drag it down and then pick it up and put it back down. It never leaves the surface. It doesn't make any noise when you drag it back in this direction. So it's only making the noise when you're dragging it down. All right, next thing, let's talk about how to cut on a slate. Fairly similar. You're going to put a little bit more pressure on it, and I don't angle it, I angle it more straight away from me instead of off to the side like I do on a yelp. I angle it more straight away and not as much, and I do pull it down with I use my fingers on it. I put a little bit more pressure on it, So it's not wanting to release, and then finally the pressure builds until it releases. So a little bit more pressure, it's a little bit more aggressive sound, a more excited sound. So, you are going to put a little bit more pressure on it. Now, if you want to cluck, just back off. Same way that you do a cut, but it's just not quite as aggressive. Then purr and cluck is another very useful call. Killed a lot of turkeys using a purr and cluck. And to do that, I do it more like, I drag the striker across the surface similar to a yelp, but with just the right amount of pressure to where the striker kind of bounces as it moves across the surface. And then I have a little cluck right there at the end of it. So you can kind of see well, it's not the only way to do it. You could probably just drag it straight down. So I'm Tom Wiley, and thank you for purchasing the Flextone game called Tramp Stamp Slate Call.